Okay, good morning, everybody. It's such a beautiful day today. Thanks for coming to EclipseCon. How many of you are here first time? Okay, wow, quite a few hands. How many here for 5 times? Okay, yeah, I've been to EclipseCon probably I think it's for 5 times. So I love it. It's great to be here. So I'm Emily Jiang. I'm the cloud native architect for IBM. I'm also a chief advocate for Liberty. In today's session, I'm going to talk about MicroProfile. So basically, it's the current status and the future direction. So hopefully, at the end of this session, you know clearly what MicroProfile is about and where MicroProfile will head towards. And if you want to get involved, and also how to get involved. So so can we do the show hands? How many of you know MicroProfile already? Wow, that's great. How many of you are using MicroProfile? Wow, that's awesome. This is great. Okay. So let's get started. So basically, I will give you a quick overview of MicroProfile and then talk about the release, the current release, 5.0, and also the upcoming release, 6.0, will happen very soon. And follow on, we'll talk about the future of MicroProfile. So this is the current status of MicroProfile. As you know, MicroProfile has 2 types of releases. One is the platform, the other one is the standalone. So when we say the version of MicroProfile, we mentioned here this platform release, and this can do release on their own. So it's basically they don't need to sync up with the platform release. So it's in today's session, we will spend a lot more time and talk about MicroProfile 6, which is focused on this platform release. So it's how many of you using reactive messaging? Okay, that's good. GraphQL? Okay. Context propagation? LRA? No, probably it's the other thing. The LRA is a few products is still on the overview. Basically, it's a preview stage, beta stage. Okay, so it's let's dive in to see the implementations. So it's for MicroProfile. It's an open standard for cloud native application development. So it has a lot of implementations for you to choose from, so you don't have a vendor lock-in problem. So we have OpenLiberty, which is a great fan of. So it's this open source, and also WebSphere Liberty. So it's directly packaged OpenLiberty, add a few other features. How many of you using OpenLiberty? Okay, a few. Great. And also is some other runtime, Quarkus, JBoss, and also the Wildfly from Red Hat. How many of you using Quarkus? Quarkus? Okay, a few. And also Payara. Payara, anybody? Okay. Launcher, Fujitsu? Okay, great. So it's also Halogen from Oracle, and also Cumulus EE, and also is a new runtime Prana. This is Apache Germinal. So you can see there's quite a few implementations for you to choose from. And for the working group members, so this is a working group members behind the involvement of the MicroProfile. As you can see, IBM and Tommy Tribe, Red Hat, Oracle, Atlanta Jack, Fujitsu, Garden State Jack, iJack, and Microsoft. And very soon, hopefully next year, there are more members joining. So it looks very good. So this is the basic release on the MicroProfile. So as I mentioned, the current latest release, the MicroProfile 5 and 6 is around the corner. So we'll just have a quick look at MicroProfile 5. MicroProfile 5 is all of these specs has been updated. So that's because it's trying to align with the Jakarta EE9. So Jakarta EE9 is pretty much the namespace change from JavaX to Jakarta, and then there's no functional change in MicroProfile. So this is the current compatible implementation for 5, and hopefully there more runtime will be added very soon. So here is the OpenLiberty and also the launcher, the current certified implementation for MicroProfile 5. So we will spend more time on 6. At the moment, we are doing the release candidate on the 6. So all the spec is pretty much to the on the final state of the MicroProfile 6. So what's coming in 6? In MicroProfile 6, basically we align with the Jakarta EE10 core profile. Any of you know Jakarta EE10? Jakarta EE10? Okay, good. So is anybody tried the Jakarta EE10 core profile yet? Okay, so now is time to try it out. So it's a Jakarta EE, basically MicroProfile works really closely with Jakarta EE, like how we align with the Jakarta EE10 core profile. And also there's a new update, OpenAPI 3.1, Matrix 5.0, and JWT 2.1 has a new update. As you can see here, the telemetry is a new spec. And previously in the MicroProfile 5, here is open tracing. We moved the open tracing from MicroProfile umbrella release to the standalone. So basically, it's the telemetry replaced the open tracing. And later on, I will tell you why. In the next few slides, I quickly go through what's coming in each spec. So OpenAPI. Finally, OpenAPI will work well with bean validations. Anybody you using bean validation? Bean validation? So that's cool. So previously the customer complained about the OpenAPI doesn't work well with bean validation, because even if you use bean validation kind of the annotation, you still have to add a lot like boilerplates. So they define the schema, etc. Now is you don't need to. You directly will generate the doc for you. The other thing is the security requirements sets, is able to monitor the optional and also the multiple. So you can see this is optional and this is multiple. And this is kind of the output from the OpenAPI. So you can see here the multiple, here is the optional. The other thing is additional property added to schema. So here you can see additional properties attribute, and I mentioned this class, and then you can, in the generator doc, there was ref, so you can figure out like these additional properties in this class. So the other thing is API responses. API responses, this annotation previously you can only add to the method level. Now you can add to the class level. And if you might be wondering, what if I have it's different API response for this method. In this case, you can annotate API response here. So this will take a priority. So if it appear here, here is overwrite the class level one. The extensions attribute are added to the type extension. So you can see his type extension name and value. You can directly say extension equals, get his properly documented. So you can see here the token name and token ID. So that's a quick minor update for the OpenAPI 3.1. OpenAPI 3.1, basically the spec has been staged. So its ballot will start shortly. So when I see the ballot, so the working group member will verify whether the release is good or not. So the next thing is MicroProfile JWT 2.1. So in JWT 2.1, so basically a few properties being added. So this is all the MicroProfile properties. So the first one is the token.age. So can specify kind of when a token will expire. So in seconds. So the second one is the clock screw. So you can specify the clock screw number as well. And also you can specify the JWT key, like a decryption. Here is a small typo. So you can specify decryption key algorithm. So that's pretty much is all the property being added. So it's the next one I will spend more time on the metrics. So metrics 5 is major release. So previously, currently, if you use MicroProfile metrics, it's pretty much based on job wizard. So it's if you know job wizard, MicroProfile metrics is pretty much mimic a job wizard. However, the micrometer currently is kind of quite popular. How many of you know micrometer already? Micrometer? Okay, a few of you. So it's basically the MicroProfile is trying to stay current with the latest technology. So it will pick up the most popular technology from the industry, from the kind of the most related observation and cloud infrastructure. So with that, the MicroProfile 5 has went a lot refactor work. So basically, it refactors the metrics API so that will allow the implementation to pull in the a micrometer. So the other thing is also, my MicroProfile metrics has few endpoints like a slash metrics. You can see all the metrics, and slash metrics slash base. You can see some base metrics. And also the version 5.0 added customer scope. So you can also define your own metrics. You can see the metrics and group it up, and you will be able to get a different endpoint. And then the API is pretty much sync up with the micrometer so that you can use a lot of monitor system to view the metrics. So it's you see it's all the popular monitoring system are listed here and work pretty well with micrometer. So there's a lot API, SPI updates in this metrics project. So the red is removed, and this is orange is being modified. This is new. You can see some simple timer, a meter, and etc. is being removed. And also the simply time, the concurrent gauge, and the meters being removed. And gauge, counter, metric, and timer being being updated. So this is unchanged. Any of you using MicroProfile metrics at the moment? Okay, a few. So if you're using this at the moment, just take a look and to see the mainly you use a lot of these annotations. When you use you use these annotations, however, we do have a migration guide to tell you if you currently use simply time, what's the next annotation you should use in the MicroProfile metrics 5.0. So the other API SPI change. So here is the kind of removed the metadata. So it's probably you don't need to worry about this metadata because this is a lower level API. So it's as you can see here is the kind of the metric registry being changed and this one being deleted. This one being added. So this is the registries group because micrometer has this concept metric registry scope. The other kind of update is this one modified to fitting better with the micrometer, and also this is a percentile value because the micrometer is very keen on this percentile, and it did well with this percentile, so this one was added. So here in the RESTful API design, you can see the like a slash matrix. You can return all register metrics. And previously, you have a slash matrix slash base. You get the base matrix. Now you have to do slash matrix question mark scope equals base. You will get the base matrix. And similarly, here is if you do the vendor one, you just here you do the scope equals my vendor. And if you do the application here, scope equals application. And with that, if you define your own scope, so basically in the registry, you define your own scope. And now you can say maybe the Eclipse scope. And then is, yeah, you can just say scope equals Eclipse scope. And you get all the metrics in that scope. And the other thing is you can even fine-tune it with the metric name. Can just specify scope and metric name. You can get all the scope, same scope and corresponding metric name listed. So that's kind of the quick run through about metrics. And next one is about telemetry. So telemetry is a supersedes MicroProfile open tracing. So from now on, so if you're using MicroProfile 5, how many of you using MicroProfile 5? 5? Okay, good. 4.1? Okay, a few. 4? Okay. So if you are using the older version prior to the 5, and when you move up to MicroProfile 6, you will have to use MicroProfile telemetry. So what is MicroProfile telemetry is about? So MicroProfile telemetry directly is a side effect of open tracing and open sensors merged together to form a new community called Open Telemetry under CNCF. So with that, basically is MicroProfile has to realign with with Open Telemetry because open tracing is kind of stable, is dead, is in the maintenance mode. No more development will happen in there. In the MicroProfile, in the telemetry, Open Telemetry, project, there's 3 pillars. One is the tracing, one is the metrics, and the other one is the logging. At the moment, only tracing is stable, and the metrics and logging is still under really very active development. So that's why we pull in the tracing for the time being because it is stable. So we are in this project, we purpose set up is a multi-module project. So at the moment, we only came up with a tracing module. So it's the other modules is kind of open-ended. We haven't put in any open telemetry metrics or logging idea. So it's for this 1.0, we focus on tracing, and also because in the open tracing, anybody using open tracing at the moment? MicroProfile open tracing? Okay, a few. When you use the open tracing, you know is everything automatically traced. And some customer complained about it. He said, I didn't say I need this open tracing. Why is it automatically being traced? I want a way to disable it. I only want to be traced whenever I say it needs to be traced. So with that feedback for the MicroProfile telemetry, we set a property. Basically, we this property, hotel.stk.disabled equals true. So auto box is you don't have the MicroProfile telemetry in action. So what you need to do is you need to set up this property in any of the configuration in the MicroProfile-config.properties or system properties or environment variables. You can set this equals false, and you will get a trace. So this is kind of the tracing. And for this tracing, it has supports 3 types of the instrumentation. One is automatic. So basically, this is directly same as open tracing. So it's all the JAX-RS method automatically traced. So you don't need to do anything. If you want to add additional tracing and etc., and you can do the manual instrumentation. So you can either use the annotation with the span. So this is the directly corresponding the open tracing add traced. So this is directly if you want to do migration, and you have to use the add span on this MicroProfile telemetry. Or you can also use the CDI injection. You can do an add injector tracer, injection span, and also you can do a programmatic lookup to like a span or current. Or you just you can use agent instrumentation. Basically, when you start your runtime, you directly provide the Java agent with some parameters. You can get your trace data straight away. So in this MicroProfile telemetry, I want to mention one thing is that we don't have any APIs created for this project. So we directly adopt open telemetry APIs. People will ask why you don't have any APIs? That's very simply because the CNCF is already a spec, right? Open telemetry also is already a spec. We don't really want to add more spec on top of existing spec. So we work really closely with upstream with open telemetry. So we feed in our feed. We just interlock with them and provide feedback and work with them very closely together. So what is the value add in the MicroProfile telemetry? So the one is the value add. You bring in the open telemetry. The second thing is basically you provide the injection. So you can inject the open telemetry tracer span package directly into your application. So this is pretty much integration story. So make the open telemetry easier to be used in your Jakarta EE or MicroProfile applications. So this is the kind of this is the overview for the MicroProfile telemetry. As you can see, you can do like if you have the REST request comes through up, and then is it directly invoke, and then is if you have open telemetry, MicroProfile telemetry enabled, so the trace, the span will directly go through this collector. And then it's the kind of eventually we'll go to the client, go to the client like Jago, Zipkin, and then you can see all the trees. So this is the kind of more details about MicroProfile telemetry. This is automatic tracing. The other one, this is tell you how to do the injection. You can do this annotation with the span and span attribute. And also you can inject. At the moment, MicroProfile telemetry is pull in the latest open telemetry spec is Java spec 1.19 and open telemetry, the language agnostic spec 1.13. So as you can see here, open telemetry has support a lot of exporters, like you can export span to Zipkin, Jago, others, and also there's a lot of configuration for you to config and to filter out some spans and etc. So it's so there's a typo here. I should say here 220012-beta. It's coming up today with Open Liberty. Is 220012. So the blog will come up. The blog will come up later today. So we'll tell you exactly how to use the MicroProfile 6.0. And basically, you can use the Matrix 5.0 and Open MicroProfile Telemetry 1.0. So I will spend a few minutes about talk about MicroProfile future. So it's in the 2023. So basically, we come up with some goals. Is at the moment, as you can see in the past, we do 3 releases per year. But this year, we only managed to do 1. But from 2023, we want to focus to to do more frequent releases, like 3 releases per year. This, the other thing is also we MicroProfile and Jakarta EE working very closely together. We continue to want to align with the Jakarta EE releases. And also we want to grow awareness and adoption of MicroProfile brand, and hopefully with your with the education and etc. and more projects can adopt MicroProfile. The following things that we want to establish a MicroProfile Champions program. Hopefully, some of you or all of you become a MicroProfile champion to promote a MicroProfile in the conferences and etc. The following one is kind of, we also want more implementations to support MicroProfile. So it's, we want like compatible implementations appear more on the MicroProfile website. And finally, is we want to grow the committers and contributions and also the working group members. With that, is anybody have any other questions regarding these goals? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good question. Let me repeat Tanya's question. So Tanya asked, what's the difference in the standalone specification compared to the releases ones? So as we can see here, the standalone ones. So it's a few, standalone ones here, right? So it's standalone ones is kind of not the core. So basically, when you create a MicroProfile or when you create a microservices, and unless you want to use messaging and etc., you probably don't need the reactive messaging. So this is one thing. This is pretty much for the REST, development, and this is all these three is for the reactive and also the parallel programming. And the GraphQL is directly for the query. So basically, you have a frequent query, and then you use it. For this is long-running actions. So if you use the transactions, we'll use it. So for this one, it's two reasons they are standalone. The first reason is you do not use them all the time. And second reason is because they were created recently, in the last probably 3 years. And at that time, people worry about have too much to implement. For these standalones, I know some runtime do not implement these standalones because they just want to focus on this platform release. So that's a differentiator. So if we add all this one back to the platform, probably we'll have less implementers to take on the whole spec to implement. And some other runtimes said, no, I'm not going to implement it anymore because I couldn't do it. It's too much. Yeah. Yes, good point. So Tanya is, yeah, they are optional for the implementations to have it. If they want to certify this, they can certify this. And they optionally can implement this. At the moment, we don't have a certification kind of the website for people to certify this as yet. So hopefully, we will also come up with kind of that kind of approach, certify the standalone releases. Yeah, that's another thing for the 2023. Maybe we will just look at to add another web page certify against the standalone specifications. So I think I have one more slide. Yeah.
Since you were on that slide, could you say just a few words about the maturity? Could you just say something about the maturity of those standalone things? I mean, are they done? Are they in the development? Probably worth mentioning that as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. So for the maturity of this standalone, they are pretty much mature. So for the reactive messaging is kind of in production, and people use it. I know Quarkus support it, Halliday support it, and Open Liberty supports some of the version. And for context propagation, Open Liberty support all of the versions, and the same for I know Quarkus also support it. I do not know some other runtime. And for the GraphQL, Open Liberty support all the latest versions. And for LRA, I know Quarkus has a preview support for LRA. Open Liberty has a beta support for LRA. So this kind of, I think for this standalone spec, it's all of them in production. I think LRA is the only one is not in the production. I think is in the preview stage. Yeah, good question. So it's, the next one is the technical goals. So it's in the 2023, we want to evaluate new specs, basically the cloud storage, converter. And as you know, if you know the Gcache is not part of Jakarta. So there's currently there are no caching, no caching strategy for that. So also evaluate whether there's a distributed cache. And the other thing is serverless programming model. If you know like Spring, like a cloud, and also there's some other runtime also is look at the serverless programming model, including OpenLiberty, which is also I'm prototyping the serverless programming model. So basically, we want to make sure if you create a MicroProfile application, if you add some annotation, and then this application can run in any cloud as a serverless functions. So it's basically, for example, if you use the IBM Code Engine, and it can run as a serverless, so you can scale back to 0. So similarly, you can run in as in Amazon Lambda and Azure Cloud. So it's this is kind of the future for the serverless. So hopefully it's kind of, you don't need to do much heavy lifting. You do not need to use the cloud provider's API directly. We will do the runtime or implement this serverless programming model. We'll do that all for you. So you can deploy to any cloud. So the future will be a hybrid cloud. So the reason I think I have done some research, like talking about some companies and etc. They have a lot of companies. I realize they use different, multiple cloud, even including some government applications. So basically, because the legislation change, and some application is better running in a particular cloud. So this is very fundamental to have the programming model you can work in the hybrid cloud. So that's stay tuned. If you also want to get involved, we haven't done a prototype as yet. So in 2023, I will be spending some time on this prototype. So please get involved and join the MicroProfile.io joint discussion, that mailing list. We will just start a conversation, early next year. And the next one is evolve the MicroProfile telemetry, include other pillar like metrics and also the metrics and logging. So it's as I mentioned earlier, at the moment only tracing is stable and the metrics and logging are not. So it's when the logging and metrics are stable, we also want to evaluate whether to pull in the metrics and logging as well. So that would be a very interesting discussion for the pulling these metrics, because we will have we need to interlock really closely with the MicroProfile metrics, because that bring in a micrometer, and then OpenTelemetry has its own metrics. But good story is micrometer works really closely with the OpenTelemetry metrics. So I haven't talked to anybody as yet. I think it's in the future. I think OpenTelemetry metrics API will be widely adopted. Maybe micrometer will directly can fit in well with OTel metrics. It's still a library. The other thing is, as we say, is kind of mentioned multiple times, MicroProfile Jakarta is work well together very nicely. So we still want to kind of focus on alignment, and basically we want to come up with a situation, complementary situation. So it's they kind of work well and do not compete. So this is the goal. And the next one is we want to evaluate a gap with Spring. As you know, MicroProfile is a direct alternative solution to Spring. So we want to cover all the things. Basically, we want to evaluate what kind of things Spring do well and MicroProfile hasn't covered. But we do not aim to do everything Spring does, because Spring, could done a lot of other cloud infrastructure could have done. So MicroProfile just want to stay in the boundary of the application, not leak into the cloud infrastructure. It will not do the service discovery because it can be done very nicely by cloud infrastructure. So the final thing is also we stay closely with like Java SE versions, like 11, 17, and 21. So at the moment, MicroProfile, many MicroProfile specifications, the baseline is 8. However, the runtime supports the 11, 17, and when 21 is out, also can support 21. Like OpenLiberty, I can speak for OpenLiberty. So basically, even 19 came out, we also try to run all the tests against 19. So we want stay current with the Java version. However, in MicroProfile API, if they want to use the 11 features, they are allowed to move up to 11. For the MicroProfile metrics and MicroProfile telemetry, the base is the Java 11. And same thing for the Jakarta EE 10 core profile. The other thing is I was at Java 1 last week, so it's a lot talks regarding Project Loom and etc. Any of you have heard of Project Loom? Yeah, a lot of you. So this is a basic discussion point about virtuous thread. So this is probably, it could be a nightmare or could be a game changer. So we in MicroProfile also same thing applied to Jakarta. Want to evaluate whether the virtuous thread will play a good bait on the APIs, or we have to be cautious when we adopt the Project Loom. So that we also evaluate. And finally, MicroProfile stay closer to the cloud is whenever there's a cloud infrastructure change and etc. And MicroProfile will say, will have the similar change and also fitting well with the cloud infrastructure. So with that, are there any other questions? So before I finish this, and today, I'm very happy to let you know all of you have the chance to get a free copy of a book I co-authored. So it's the Practical Cloud Native Java Development with MicroProfile, including the examples how to get your application running in the cloud and in OpenLiberty. So it's you can come around to IBM booth 5:30 today for a free book, signed a free book. So it's both myself and Alastair will be here to sign this copy for this book. Alternatively, if you want to spend your money, if you have a lot of money, you can get a book from Amazon as well. So this is the link. With that, thank you for coming, and try it out on MicroProfile, and also stay tuned with MicroProfile 6. I'm happy to say at the Jakarta 1 live stream on the 6th of December, hopefully we can announce MicroProfile 6, and we'll do a live demo on the MicroProfile 6 in action, do a further deep dive and demonstrate how it works. So stay tuned. Are there any other final questions? Okay, thank you for coming and enjoy.